And funnily enough, 7 days later, he came back to me and said, "Hey, I cannot believe what you did." And I was, hey, I did nothing. I just gave you some tips. Yeah, what happened? And he actually sent me a screenshot. And I think it was really an increase of 400% of his organic downloads just because of this very small action. Yeah.
Games and Names Podcast.
Hey there! Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and share this episode. It's really important for us. And now, to the episode itself. Hey! Welcome to the 6th episode of Games and Names Podcast, a place where we talk with different experts from game dev industry about their professional experience as well as stories. In other words, we talk about games and people in them. My name is Tan, I'm your usual host and also VP of Product at AppMagic, an analytical service for analyzing mobile markets and gaining actionable insights. Today, we've got a really captivating topic and two special guests. Well, one of them is my dear favorite co-host, Kroon. Jesse, hey there, man.
Hey, Stan, how's it going? Good to see you again.
And this time, a real proper guest, Thomas Kriebernegg, co-founder and managing director of AppRadar. Thomas, welcome.
Thank you very much, Stan. Happy to be here today. Also, hi, Jesse.
Hi, Thomas. Good to have you, man. Welcome.
Yeah, glad to have you. All right. So what we are talking today? Actually, we are talking about a pretty hot topic. We're talking about AI-based instruments and solutions and how they can be used in game development, especially for ASO and marketing, because usually this part of the game development is the most difficult, is the most challenging, and thus AI-based instruments can work and shine the best there. In general, right now, IT industry is absolutely crazy about AI-based instruments. I mean, text, generating images, generating 3D models, generating music, basically generating anything, except for food, which is a shame, but still. So, there are a lot of models available publicly, and people are hyped about all the possibilities, and I know for sure there are some companies out there, including big corporations, that already included these kind of tools in their pipelines. So today we would try to understand what are the possible implementations of AI-based tools in the marketing and ASO. How to use it, what are pros and cons, what are the possible pitfalls, and what should be considered when talking about it. But before that, let us take a step and talk a little bit about Thomas. So Thomas, maybe there is something you want to add.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, guys, for having me here on the podcast. Yeah, really a pleasure to talk about mobile games as well as about App Store optimization and AI, which I think sums up very much also my kind of personal interest or fields of interest. So I've been working in the space of digital marketing now since nearly 20 years, or maybe even a little bit more than 20 years. Something like 12 years ago, when apps started to become a thing, this was also the time for me when I started to specialize in the area of app marketing. And a little bit later, also played around with my first mobile games, which I was producing by myself and also releasing to the app stores. Eventually also had some luck with some copycat games there as well.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we had a whole episode about cloning and copycatting.
Okay.
Yes.
I would say that's
Very
my
nice.
origin of mobile game marketing, actually. So I kind of came from this area, but also then identified that I'm not the best, let's say, the game designer and not the best guy coming up with ideas over there. But during the process, I kind of figured out that actually marketing for mobile games is something that I seem to be quite talented in. And that was also the reason why I started to specialize in this area even more, which led to a little bit later founding AppRadar. Back then, when we started out, it was a keyword tracking tool for mobile apps and mobile games within the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, so that you could find out, like which apps and games are ranking for which keywords, as well as what are people searching for when they click on the search icon within the app stores. So coming from this point of view and trying to match this kind of together. And since then, we built actually a lot of different software solutions, but as well as services as well. Over here at AppRadar, where we help apps and mobile games to become more visible within the app stores and also help them to promote them outside of the app stores as well on kind of every major social network or ad platform that you can imagine.
Amazing. Like I have a question just to kick us off right away, Thomas. For the uninitiated out there, for those who perhaps are not as knowledgeable about the marketing side of games, what all goes into a game showing up in the App Store and being successful there, could you just kind of describe a little bit the basics of ASO? Could you give us a crash course in App Store optimization?
Great question. And happy to give you here the crash course on ASO, yeah? So excellent. I think number one, yeah? So ASO is kind of, I would say we can split it up into two subcategories. Category number one is being found when somebody's searching for a relevant keyword. And the second subcategory is also that when people see your game within the App Store, that they also think, okay, I need to click on the download button. I need to install, I want to play this. So these are the two areas of App Store optimization. On area number one, it is all about keyword optimization, which starts with keyword research. And I would also go one step further and also say trend research as well. Because also back then in my copycat game, and I still think in the copycat game that is still alive nowadays, trying to hit trends is the one thing that you want to do, because this means that a lot of people are searching for something very specific within the App Store. And obviously, if your game is being found there, that is great, because then you will get a lot of organic downloads, which you don't have to pay for. And that is really amazing, yeah. But also over the years, the game got a little bit more complicated, I would say, with now more or less around about 5 million apps within the game, within the app stores. Yeah, so wow. It's a quite crowded place, which means that you have to go a little bit deeper. Just to put one, trending keyword into the title, and that's it. Yeah. So therefore, doing a proper keyword research, trying to identify what are people searching for when they want to play a game like yours, is a very crucial part of the process. Also identifying how competitive are those keywords, and do you still have a chance to be found on those keywords as well? Or in other words, if you release a new game and you put, PvP shooter in the title, and you think of you will rank on number one now if somebody's searching for a PvP shooter, that's not gonna happen in any case, because it's just too crowded. So therefore, when you especially have a new game, you have to choose keywords that you have also a chance to be found on, so to say, with a little bit lesser competition. But obviously, still people searching for those keywords. So that is kind of part number one, like trying to identify the best keywords, the most relevant ones, where you also have a chance to be found on. Yeah. And part number two is really about optimizing the conversion rates within the app stores. And that is kind of, I would say, narrowed down into the topic of optimizing your app icon, which is, I think, one of the most crucial conversion drivers out there, as well as followed by optimizing your screenshots, and especially the first ones, because this is what most people will see within the app stores. And so therefore, this is where you can, optimize the hell out of it, I would even say, to convert as much traffic as possible that you get to your App Store page to also download your game at the end of the day.
Yeah, with all that competition in the industry, it makes a lot of sense that there's an entire branch of our industry dedicated to optimizing this process. So exactly. Amazing. But with that knowledge, I guess we can now embark into the world of AI and its effects on that system.
Say, let's imagine a situation. Jesse and I, we decided to launch a game company of our own, a proud indie company, making mobile games. We have a great experience in game design and producing, but not so much in ASO and marketing and optimizing this part of the funnel. So what instruments should we consider and how they can help us, I mean AI-based instruments, of course, to achieve better conversion, better optimization, better basically everything?
Great. Yeah. Let's start into it. Yeah. So first of all, I would recommend you guys in this scenario to do some kind of market research and to think of what are current trends happening within the world. Yeah. Now I have to say that ChatGPT, for example, is a little bit limited in terms of the data that they're aggregating. So it's a little bit outdated and might not be the most useful tool for that. Yeah. But there are some other tools out there, for example, that can help you to analyze TikTok trends or something like that. So that can already be a really great source of, like ideas, what is currently going on in the world outside, what are people interested in. And once again, coming up with some ideas of, how could your game or on what theme could you, base it, or, what are kind of mechanics maybe even that are currently very trending. Yeah.
So that's the thing, Stan, I forgot. When we were making this game company, did we decide what kind of game we were going to make? Or did we just want to start blindly and go search? And then I guess, Thomas, can we just go do research of the entire industry? Or is it more helpful to choose a genre beforehand?
Yeah, I would. Depending on your development skills, I would say no.
Okay. But in general, yeah, that is true. That was a very good observation. So usually we have to do a proper market research beforehand. So understand what are the genres out there. For example, in casual niches, how deep we can go, what kind of expertise we already have. So how it can be used in one exact genre or in different niches, and what can be the success rate, I might say, so that we will invest our time, our resources in something that will end up successful. Yeah. So that's the first step.
Makes a lot of sense indeed. And then you were talking about TikTok trend analysis. That's really interesting, Thomas. Could you talk a little bit more about that? What do those tools show us then?
Yeah, for sure. So, generally speaking, trends on TikTok, there are multiple ways how you can get there and also evaluate, let's say, the search volume in the background as well. Yeah. So even there's an official source of TikTok, how you can get this data and really find out, what is it, what people are currently searching for on TikTok. And once again, this can be really something great for you. And now already taking this one step further and combining it with ChatGPT, for example. So taking this as some kind of source data as well, just doing a copy and paste of a list of the 300 most trending keywords on TikTok, for example. You can take this list, you paste it into ChatGPT, and you ask it, can you give me some examples of a great game that I want to develop that can match any of those trends, any of those keywords that are currently going on in the genre of an action casual game, for example. And then once again, you can already utilize here AI with now up-to-date data to get some inspiration on which game you can actually build. And the great thing here is, once again, that you are hitting trends. So this is really something that is going on there. Obviously, trends can be also very short term. Yeah. So therefore, I would obviously recommend to do some kind of background check as well, how long is this already something that is trending? Is it only here now for one day and then it will be gone again? So maybe not the best idea to base a game on this one. But if it's something maybe that's even recurring, that would be the best. Yeah. So talking about seasonality, something that is coming every summer, for example, like a water splash game or something like that, that could be something that could be a great source for developing a game. And here also, my recommendation in the beginning would also be, don't go for the AAA game in the beginning. Try to do something more on the casual, maybe hyper casual gaming side as well, because it will help you to get easier your product to market, so to say, and to also evaluate how big is the market, so to say. And once the game gets going, obviously then you can build something crazier, bigger out of it as well. Yeah. But once again, that would be a little bit my recommendation, how to get this process started. Yeah.
It is true, yeah, sounds good. I think that you've mentioned it. Usually, TikTok trends are followed by hyper-casual games because the development time is really short there. So you can find some kind of a trend that is popular right now, and you will be able to jump on this hype wave and to grasp some real good players and users. we ended up with some kind of an idea. We're going maybe hyper casual or say casual. What are our next steps? So how should we consider the ASO part and the marketing part, and how can we use the other instruments like ChatGPT in these exact places?
Good. So the next step that I would recommend you guys is to come up with some kind of document where you describe the game that you're working on. So this can be, like some kind of internal briefing on the one hand side, where once again, like ChatGPT can be a great support here as well, because you just have to give it some couple of keywords and it can come up with a completely fully fledged, so to say, game concept in the background as well as description. First of all, for you guys to align, but also if you get freelancers on board as well, that you have something that you can show them. This can be like a really being some kind of concept document where you just write it down. You're like, what is the game about? What is the topic? What has the player to do? What is the game mechanic in the background? Are there different levers? How to pass those levers and so on and so forth. So here, once again, ChatGPT can be a really great source because you can also really utilize it as an assistant. And this is also kind of, I would say, one of the mindsets that you kind of also need to familiarize yourself with when you start to work with AI at the current time. If we talk in 1 year, maybe the statement would be different. But at the current time, we're talking about AI as an assistant. So I think we all played a little bit of ChatGPT and we found out it does great stuff, but not at a 100% level. So I would say for most of the cases, I would say for me personally, I would consider it as something like 85 to 90%. Great, but not 100%. So this means that to really make it great, you have to go the last 10 to 15% by yourself, which means that you have to take what ChatGPT gives you and you have to kind of polish it. You have to extend it. Maybe you have to change some things because they don't make too much sense. But once you do this, I mean, obviously, coming up with something with 100% from zero, is way more work than, just doing the last 10%, obviously. So therefore, once again, ChatGPT can support you here really a lot with coming up with this kind of game concept. And one of the things that I would also recommend it at this stage already is to think about marketing. Because think about how the game will be represented within the app stores. And how to think about it, just open up the App Store on your smartphone and you will see, okay, it is a lot about visuals. So we need an app icon, we need a screenshot. And super important, we will need the title, we will need the subtitle, and we will also need some kind of description. And this is once again something where ChatGPT, for example, can already kick in and save you a lot of work because you can just tell it based on the concept that you just wrote. Now think of being the marketer of this game and come up with a description of this game, including a title that is maximum 30 characters long and contains the most important keywords to describe this game. So this is already something where you can utilize ChatGPT with, I would say very, very little effort, but for really a lot of impact. Because what it does is it really supports you in coming up with a description for your mobile game, which you can then later take and copy and paste and put it into the App Store and put it into the Google Play console. And this will already give you a great start. Also here, maybe a little bit as the advanced kind of pro tip already, because it's just very much present in my mind. I was recently giving a lecture at a conference that was directed for mobile gaming. And there I was also talking about how to utilize ChatGPT for your ASO and was talking about how you can also use it for keyword research. And one of the things also here that I would recommend in this regard is, once again, ChatGPT, utilizing it as your assistant. When you come up with a new idea, let's face the truth, chances are that there is probably something already similar within the App Store. So this means you can also take this that is already there and, take the description, for example, of a competitor game, put it into ChatGPT and tell it once again, hey, I want you to act as a marketer. This is the description of my competitor mobile game within the App Store. Help me to come up with something better. Help me to extract the keywords that I can then also enter into my keyword field within App Store Connect. And while I was giving this presentation, after the presentation, actually, one of the guys from the audience came up to me and told me, hey, that sounded so easy that you were just telling. I cannot believe that this process is so easy, like how can this be done? Yeah. And I just told him, hey, okay, let's try it out. Yeah. Open up ChatGPT on your laptop. He was opening up. Yeah. I was asking him the question, is the game already live? And he said, yeah, it's already live. Then I said to him, okay, take the description of your game, put it into ChatGPT and tell it should come up with keywords that you can put into App Store Connect. He did exactly that. And then I was logging in together with him into his App Store Connect account. And then I saw one of the biggest beginner mistakes, and also here as a kind of a tip for you guys as well, really fill up all the space that you have in App Store Connect on the keyword field. So it's 100 characters. And one of the biggest beginner mistakes that I see is that people are only entering 2 keywords, maybe 3 keywords, and ending up at 20 out of 100 characters. Mm-hmm. And the thing why this is so important is because, I mean, Apple is a great company, but they are not a search engine, company like Google, for example. So this means you have to feed the algorithm with the keywords that are relevant, or like where you want to, your game be found on within the app stores. Yeah. As you know, guys. And I was telling him exactly that, just take the keywords that ChatGPT gave you, put it into your keyword field, put save and push it live with the next update that you're doing. And funnily enough, 7 days later, he came back to me and said, hey, I cannot believe what you did. And I was, hey, I did nothing. I just gave you some tips. Yeah, what happened? And he actually sent me a screenshot. And I think it was really an increase of 400% of his organic downloads just because of this very small action. Yeah. Wow. He already had some kind of, crazily amount of downloads, but he was at around 100 downloads per day. And, if you can boost this to 400 downloads a day with, I think it was 10 minutes of work, not too bad in terms of return on invest, I would say. Yeah.
It's a really smart way to think about this, and allowing ChatGPT to just in an instant do that research, do that analysis that would otherwise take a human valuable man hours. Like that's a really great contribution.
Totally. And I think also here, I think one of the best skills that you can actually have when working with AI is, I would say, some kind of leadership skills, because it's, like a lot about, like I have a task that needs to be done. And the better I can describe this task, the better I can describe the outcome that I'm looking for, the better the results will be at the end of the day. And I think, this reminds me actually a lot about leadership or working in a team, doing teamwork. The better you can communicate with others what you want, like what drives you forward, what you're looking for, the better the results. So I think that this mindset, I think is also very important here when talking about how to work with AI.
Yeah, I do have one kind of question, well, an anecdote of my own, and I wanted to hear your point of view on it, Thomas, and Stan also. I was with a buddy of mine, a good friend and colleague. We were at Pocket Gamer in London, and AI was just like ChatGPT 3.5, I believe, had just been released. Everyone was buzzing about it. And his name is Cheyenne. He asked ChatGPT to design a match 3 game for him. And to our great amazement, ChatGPT created this wonderful pitch for a game called Farm to Table, where you're matching vegetables. Very similar, actually, now that I think about it, to one of King's games, actually. So, AI is always going to kind of be regurgitating the stuff that's already out there. That's important for us to remember. But I was kind of pushing it on the game design, because as a game designer, I love these systems. Cheyenne, a system designer, we both wanted to know how it was working. And I have to say that while it sounded really good, the design and the concepts, it wasn't complete. That 80% that you're talking about, Thomas, I would actually, if from a game designer point of view were to evaluate it, I would say it was closer to 60, maybe 50%. It was able to give me a really intriguing idea that sounded great, but the limitation was still there. So can we talk a little bit about the limitations of AI that we should be careful not to fall into the pitfalls of? Because someone with less experience, perhaps, in whatever field might think, perfect, I have my game pitch, let's go to the investor meeting. But their game is full of holes. So or ChatGPT's game, rather. So curious what you think about the limitations of the tool.
Yeah, really great point. Yeah. So once again, I would also, on a high level, if it is communication to somebody else, check it out. If it's an email that you're writing or something like that, if it's, not something that you're using internal, be sure to double check what the output is. Yeah. Because, as we just said, you are not at 100% quality right at the moment. That's just not going to happen. Yeah. I mean, depending if the task is super easy, then maybe yes. Yeah. But, for the topics that we're talking about, it's not there yet. Yeah. So therefore, it's really important to make this double check. But also here, one of the biggest findings that I also made while actively using ChatGPT is, even though if it's maybe not in the first try at 100%, you can also give it feedback. And you can also tell, hey, look, what you prepared is really great, but slide number 5 of the pitch deck for our new game, somehow it's not there yet. I don't feel it. I don't get the message. It's too confusing. It's too complicated. It's too widespread or whatever. The better also, once again, you can give here the feedback. What is wrong? Like what kind of, what would you expect as the perfect result? The better kind of you are having this conversation and chatting with ChatGPT, the better the output will also be. And then you can give it some time to also increase really the quality and the output of the quality, especially. So this means, to get from 80 to 100%, or depending wherever the starting point is, doesn't mean that you have to take everything now and then put it into Google Slides and do the complete groundwork there again from scratch. You can you can stay in ChatGPT until you are at the 100% or at the 99%, and then you can really take it and copy and paste the stuff out there in like whatever kind of medium you want, so to say. Yeah.
Actually, it's pretty funny, Jesse, you've mentioned this exact situation, because I've got an anecdote of my own and also a small tip, I might say. So the anecdote part is that right now at AppMagic, in our research and development department, we are working with something pretty interesting, an instrument combining AI base with deep level deconstructions and also the analytical information from the main product. So the main idea is that usually the main reason why ChatGPT can't get a really good answers in so specific areas is because it lacks the knowledge base. So there is no dedicated knowledge base for it. And creating this unique knowledge base and sprinkling it with some data might result in a much better quality of the answers that you can get. So that's the main idea. Not sure we will end up with some final result because it's a total work in progress, but I already can see that going from version to version, the results are getting better and better. And I'm so impressed because 5 years ago, I couldn't even think about that this can be possible. And a small advice or tip. So recently I was this weekend, I was reading an article about how ChatGPT works, the whole 3.5, then the 4, that the ChatGPT is basically T9 on steroids, which is true. Yeah, it's pretty funny, but it is true.
T9 being the word completion thing, right?
Yeah,
that it guesses the word.
Exactly.
I would totally agree with that to a certain extent.
Yeah. So and the tip is, if you use in each and every prompt that you want, if you want your results to be better, especially for some difficult tasks that you are not sure about, you might want to use the phrase divided into a step-to-step solution or step-to-step thinking, because the moment it begins to show the thinking process, it itself begins somehow magically to receive better results. So it's just like with a third grade student who tries to solve a mathematical example, and that first comes up with the wrong answer, and then you say, okay, so let's sit down and you will show me step by step what was your solution. And in most of the cases, because I used to be a private tutor in mathematics, and in most of the cases, they will end up with the right solution. You've changed nothing. You just ask them to go step by step.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah. I also think that one of the limitations is still there a little bit when it comes to numbers, because I have the feeling that also, also here, once again, if you're uploading, financial data of your latest game or something like that, don't take the first answer that you get from ChatGPT as already, like that's it. Yeah, just make a little bit of a double check. Yeah, Stan, I think as you described, ask it, how did you come up with this? Is also a great step to make here the double check as well. But nevertheless, especially with the latest released code interpreter for ChatGPT 4, I mean that where you can upload a CSV file with data from whatever you want, more or less. I would especially see this with the data that you guys are having at AppMagic. If you combine this, I think you can do really, really wild stuff there as well in terms of show me the fastest growing categories or something like that. Or
exactly.
That's I think there you can do a lot of wild stuff. Yeah.
So Thomas, when it comes to like using, is there any way we can kind of like combine these different things? Is there a workaround? And this is something I genuinely don't know, so it might just technically not be possible yet, but is there a way for us to feed images into an AI tool and say, extract the trends from these screenshots, from these marketing materials, in the same way that we were using in this hypothetical situation, ChatGPT, to analyze the keywords out of a bunch of data from TikTok? Can we also feed a tool images to get the same kind of insights?
That is a really great question, and I think that from at least what I've seen, it's kind of I would say on the soon to be possible, like limitation, I would say. Maybe there are some tools already out there that can really support with that. Yeah. For me, kind of while you were framing the question, what was triggered in my head as one of the first answers to it was, for example, a tool like make.com. Which is something like Zapier, which you can also use as an alternative, but make.com seems to be a little bit more into the AI world. What it does, it is more or less a graphical interface where you can connect multiple tools based on an API level with each other. Yeah. So what you can do is, for example, you can say, based on this tweet from this Twitter page, please come up with a blog post and create some images for the blog post, as well as create the hero image then for our promotion on our Facebook page, for example. Yeah.
What? That's crazy. So I just looked it up. It's very, very cool.
It's insane, but because there are no limitations. So the only limitation is more or less what you have in your head. Yeah. So kind of this is where you can go really wild. And there are, on the one hand side, generative AI in the topic of, like really generating an AI image based on text. But there are already other tools that are helping you do exactly the other way around, yeah, where you can upload an image and then you can also let the AI describe what is shown on the image, yeah, which is also when we just think about it, like a computer can describe what it sees on an image without, seeing the image, that's also crazy.
Mind-blowing. Yeah.
Mind-blowing, yeah, I know, it's really mind-blowing, yeah. And so, if you bind things like that together, I guess, maybe it's already possible now, yeah, and maybe, like some smart guys already using it, yeah. But I could also imagine that for the future, it might be something, like very interesting as well, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because again, then that role of the assistant gets even more, I don't know, robust, so, and then you can, I know that there was a lot of fear for a while about like, oh, is AI gonna replace workers? And I think, yes, it will. Some people,
for sure,
even now, it will, it already has.
Yeah.
And probably more and more jobs might become involved with AI. But to me, the main thing that I see, especially in the coming time, is that it's like a force multiplier. It's going to speed us all up.
Yeah.
Like the amount of time that, I as a game designer need to spend brainstorming different mechanics for a live ops feature, for example, can be cut down massively because I can have someone just kind of, or not someone, sorry,
something.
the AI friend do that for me. Like, do you not worry, Thomas, for your industry and for your company and the rise of AI?
I mean, to be honest, yeah, for sure, yeah. So, I think that right at the moment, we're still kind of in the beginning stage of AI here in some kind of way. I think, let's face the truth, the last long email that I wrote by myself, I think was more than half a year ago,
Wow.
So that is, already coming, being an assistant already since quite some time, yeah. I also read a lot of, very interesting quotes around that, yeah, because we've also seen it, with Industrial Revolution as well, exactly kind of the same topic, yeah. For sure, it killed jobs. I mean, that is, out of question, yeah. But also on the other hand side, the jobs, there were new jobs formed, and those were kind of, let's say, better probably than the other ones that were killed. And I think it's also very similar in terms of looking at it from an evolutionary side, if I can get the basics done by a machine, then I can build up on the basics and do something with it. And I think that this is also pushing us as the human beings on this planet also to a different level, also in terms of, efficiency and productivity as well, and which will end up also in more progress over time. So I think for me personally, my mindset is, familiarizing myself as good as possible, what is out there, what is going on, trying to think of how can I incorporate it into my workflow, but also how can we incorporate it into AppRadar? And how can we also make it usable for thousands of people out there as well, and really bring in some very interesting use cases, how to actually what to do with AI. And one of the really cool features that I have to say that we released there as well, and to also maybe draw a little bit or tell a story in this regard as well, is one of the features that we released is our so-called AI review summaries feature. And it does more or less exactly what the name says. So what it means is when you log in within AppRadar, you can search for any app within the App Store or the Google Play Store. And then you do some kind of filtering where you say, for example, okay, I'm interested in the United States and I'm interested in the last 3 months. And then you click on Generate Summary. And what we're doing in the background is we're looking up all the reviews that this app or game got within the specific time frame, within the specific market, and we create an executive summary out of it on the one hand side, as well as we kind of draw the biggest pain points that were mentioned, as well as already give some kind of solutions on how to address these pain points that were mentioned within those reviews. And I mean, it sounds very easy, but on the other hand side, when I was first pitching this feature to a customer of us, and I was, telling them, hey, look, this is something that we're working on, and then they were looking, she was looking up at me, and she was saying, okay, and this is possible for all languages out there, and I was, yeah, for sure, that's possible for all languages. And then she said, okay, that's actually 14 people at the company doing exactly what you just described. And I said, well, that's one click of a button, more or less, at AppRadar. So you maybe only need 2 people anymore, once you also use our feature. And then she said, yeah, maybe only 1. Yeah? And, let's face the truth. Yeah, on the one hand side, obviously, we're talking about 14 jobs out there, but nevertheless, I think it's the future. And one of the statements that I also read is, in the future, there will be people, profiting out of also integrating AI into their use cases and workflows, and others that don't, and they will be left behind sooner or later because they will not be able to keep up the pace, how fast things are moving. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. I also I think read some kind of research recently, and it was saying that I think for the developers, the increase of efficiency was 30 to 50%, which is absolutely crazy. This tens numbers we're talking about. It's it's a lot. Though from my side, I began using ChatGPT and other AI-based instruments just out of curiosity, and I think tech guys out there like us, we all did. But at the same time, I try to be polite, for example, because you never know how it will end. So, hello, ChatGPT, how are you doing? Good morning.
Definitely. I mean, I find myself with ChatGPT, like congratulating it when it does a good job, which you were bringing it up earlier, Thomas. Like it's a leadership skill, right? You need to give positive reinforcements, and then encourage it to look at it slightly differently, and that gives you good results. So I'm curious about like the field of prompt engineering generally. There's a great website called, I think it's called promptengineering.org or something, just like a knowledge sharing place. In the applications you've been speaking about, Thomas, are there any kind of prompt engineering tips you could give our listeners, and of course Stan and I in our fictional game company, to help us get started with these kinds of things?
Yeah. So I think one of the most important things, and there were also just some recent changes announced in ChatGPT, but this is the kind of initial setup. So I just read on Twitter that it's now possible that you can give some, let's call it initial mindset to ChatGPT. Which kind of the idea in the background is that kind of you're more or less always using it for very similar use cases that are like attached to your personal life. Yeah. So therefore it makes sense that ChatGPT understands who are you as a person. Like for example, like me, you're like operating a business. I'm interested in marketing. Also in sales and so on and so forth. So I'm kind of having a quite let's say directed mindset, in terms of how I want ChatGPT to act, compared, for example, to colleagues at my company who are developers, who, ask completely different questions, obviously, compared to how I ask it, yeah? And so therefore, one of the things that I think is very important is when starting to work with ChatGPT, and here I would really say, either you do the initial setup now, which is technically possible, but before that, it was really that with opening up every new chat, I was always telling it, I want you to act as something, or I am doing this in my job and I need your help to you help me in this role that I'm currently fulfilling. So therefore, kind of this initial setup to kind of guide ChatGPT into, where exactly should you be, I think is very, very crucial, and also defines then, how good is the output, how good is the research that you're getting back. Because also on a logical sense, ChatGPT is, has a very big knowledge from more or less, let's say, more or less every topic that you can imagine. And so therefore, it's important that you kind of, set the focus to something specific, because otherwise it will go wild and then it's very hard to control, where it's going. But the better you set this focus and the better you set it up in some kind of way, the better the results are. And as mentioned, how to do it is, I think, very easy, actually. I want you to be my developer assistant. I want you to be my marketing assistant. I want you to be my CMO, whatever you want it to be, just tell it. And then, the results will already be a lot better. Yeah.
When we were asking it to make a match 3 game from that story I was telling before, we just said, you're a game design intern.
Yeah.
You're not a master game designer. Please don't be, because I want to keep my job,
Maybe that, I want you to be the best game designer on the planet.
Maybe it would be better. It would have been better. Yeah. It gave me bad ideas because it was just an intern.
Yeah.
Anyone can have good ideas, even ChatGPT.
Perfect. And now I think we can go in the final stage of our podcast. So usually during each and every episode, we try to come up with some kind of recommendations in the end of the episode. This time, I think all of us can recommend playing with some kind of text-based AI solution, for example, ChatGPT, because it is itself is a game, I might say. It's really interesting to see how the bot is working. For example, recently I've introduced a close friend of mine to ChatGPT and showed how it can be using the same tone of voice she's using, and she was just shocked. Like, the system is writing posts for Instagram, for marketing, the same way she would write them. Well, maybe like 75-80%, but still it is absolutely frustrating and at the same time really, captivating. But based on that, I say that my initial recommendation was to try some of the games out there that were made using AI-based solutions because, well, at least it's interesting. For example, there is a game called AI Dungeon. Now, it's not the game itself, it's a series of games. Basically, it is a special chat generator inside that helps you to play different role scenarios like a game master of your own. So you can choose a setting, you can choose the initial situation, and then you and your friends online can chat with the thing like a text RPG and make your story go the way you want it. And it will be generated each time new. Sometimes it works, of course, a little bit strange, and you want to push it to the limit, see how far you can get there in your story. But at the same time, it's absolutely captivating, and it's so mind-blowing that there is a system that can game master the whole world for you.
Very, very cool.
Nice, huh?
Yeah, Thomas, do you have a suggestion of any games that are being led by AI or have had AI as part of their development cycle?
I would say actually, I would say there are already different plugins, for example, for Unity that are already, like AI assisted as well. Yeah, I've already seen some kind of game engines as well that are really purely based on AI, so text generation game engines. Yeah, so come up with a world, build a house over there, add the street, add a car, add the character. Something like that. Also, like looking back into my beginnings of game design, and once again the copycat time, where it was more or less replacing assets. That is, but the reason why I did it back then is because I was lacking the skills of doing something more. So I think. That is really looking forward. I think, especially also Unity as well as Unreal, as well as more dedicated game engines as well, only going into this generative AI topic. These are, at least what I will be spending a lot of time with in the next couple of months. Yeah, once it's fully there. Yeah, but it will come, and that I think being curious, being open-minded to try those things out would be my recommendation, because I think this will be groundbreaking. Yeah.
Definitely, I'm super impressed by you, Stan, coming up with the AI Dungeon. That's really good. I must confess, I don't know of a game right now that has been developed by AI, so I will give a different recommendation. If you haven't played with ChatGPT yet, a really wonderful way to do so is to, if you don't feel like coming up with something to cook, look in your fridge. List the ingredients and tell ChatGPT to give you the top 5 most nutritious meals that can be created with what you have in your fridge, and it's amazing what it comes up with. Of course, you got to tell it that it is your, personal chef, and your goals in life are to be healthy, of course, or maybe not. Maybe you are having a cheat day and you don't want to be healthy at all. But it's a really fun way to kind of interact with the tool and see how close it gets to what you're looking for. Kind of what Thomas was talking about at the beginning, this grooming the AI's responses to help get you closer and closer to the goal. You can ask it to give another variation on a different thing, or say if I wanted to add something to make this even better, what would I add? And then it can continue to give you good examples, and then you don't have to think about what to cook for dinner either.
Sounds wonderful. Actually, I'm using ChatGPT for that, for different recipes. I think I was using it for the last several weeks, and it works like a charm. Yeah, nice. It is. Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so that's a good way. So guys out there, if you want to try it, you should totally maybe spice up both your technological knowledge and your day-to-day meal routines. Might really help you.
Spice up is a good pun, because maybe it'll be a spicy dish that you create with ChatGPT.
Indeed. That's true. Who knows? All right. So, guys, thank you for a wonderful episode. I think it was really, really insightful. Thomas, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I really enjoyed it a lot, guys.
Nice. Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks for the conversation, Thomas. Stan, of course.
Thanks, yes.
Likewise,
thanks,
guys. It was fantastic. So thank you for being with us today, all the viewers and listeners out there. Take care. See you on our next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.